Okay, so good morning, everyone. I'd just like to read my statement that I gave to you all yesterday. I'm deeply humbled by my colleagues' continued trust in my leadership of the Senate. I always say that I serve at the pleasure of my colleagues, and with their strong show of support, I'm emboldened to press on as Senate President. I thank my fellow senators, everyone who's already signed the statement of support, as well as those who have signified intent to sign it as well. Ang suporta nilang lahat ay marka ng isang matatag na Senado, hindi natitinag ng anumang ingay at palaging nagkakaisa sa aming paglilingkod para sa bayan. So, that's my opening statement. I would like to thank all those that signed the statement of support. And there are more that signed. Nadagdagan po, additional 3 members, senators, and I'd like to thank Senator Bong Revilla, Senator Robin Hood Padilla, and Senator Jinggoy Estrada also signed together with the original 14 that has signed. Marami yatang, hindi naman ako nagpaikot niyan, yung nagpaikot niyan, mga kasama natin. Yung iba kasi wala, they were abroad. I believe Cheese is out of the country. And over the weekend, Senator Pia, Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Alan Cayetano were also out of the country. So we expect more to join for their support to our presidency. But what's important is, with all these rumors taking place, hindi po natin pinapansin yung ingay na yan. Tuloy-tuloy pong trabaho natin, napapansin nyo. Araw-araw, we're taking up LEDAC-approved measures. And as a matter of fact, we passed yesterday the RP-VARA, yung Real Property Valuation Law, updating the real property valuation systems of our government, of our country. So, naipasa natin yan kahapon. And most recently, we passed last week another LEDAC measure. It escapes me at this point in time. Di pa ako nagkakape. PNP reorg. Sorry, PNP reorg, napasa natin. So every week, nagpapasa po tayo ng LEDAC measures. Hopefully, in the next 2 weeks, may papalabas po tayong yung FASA, yung sa anti-phishing, anti-mule, yung mga anti-scamming. Fraudulent transactions done online by our phones, by online transactions, we'll be passing that. That's also a LEDAC measure. Before the end of the month and before the break, pasado na rin po yan. So we're soldiering on our commitments to the LEDAC measures. At the same time, we continue our work on the different committees, particularly on other measures that we feel is very important for the Filipino people. So tuloy na po ang trabaho. Nakapasa rin po tayong amnesty bills. Pinasa na po natin yung amnesty on MILF, MNLF, as well as the yung proletariat, RPB, Alex Bongcayo, ABB, Alex Bongcayo Brigade, and their group, an organization. Naiwan na lang yung sa New People's Army. We'll be taking that up in the next couple of days. Before the break, mapapasa na rin po natin yan. Kasi hindi naman ako, not personally, I'm not the one moving around with the document. Maybe I can ask those who are moving the document to see them. As a matter of fact, I spoke to Ma'am Cynthia yesterday and Ma'am Amy. They also gave their support. And ang gusto po nila, walang gulo. Alam mo, maraming challenges po ang hinaharap ng Senado, ng politika na yon, ng taong bayan, lalo na yung mga kababayan nating hirap at gutom sa buhay. Dapat magpakita po tayo ng solid show of support to the institution. Not just to me, it's to the institution na hindi tayo nagkakagulo.
Clarify lang.
Yes.
Hindi galing sa inyo si statement of support. Kanino po galing and why is there a need for that, sir? Kasi lagi sinasabi, chismis lang yung po, pero bakit kailangan, sir, may statement of support?
Well, Well, maraming haka-haka, chismis na papalitan daw ako, ikukudeta daw ako, online, on mga social media sites. And I think my colleagues, particularly my core group, like for example, Senator Joel, Senator JV, Senator Angara, Senator Nancy, Senator Poe, Senator Lauren, we all met one day and said, they all met one day and sabi nila, actually nasa Cagayan de Oro ako noon eh. I was not here. I was in Cagayan de Oro. Nagpaikot sila ng manifesto of support. So nagpapasalamat po ako sa kanila. And because of that, many more senators, of course, wanted to show signs of support para matigil na po yung usapin na kudeta. So we can focus on the issue at hand, which is how to pass legislation that will help uplift the lives of Filipino people, of our Filipino people.
So sir, meron talagang nagtatangkang ma-unseat kayo?
Hindi eh, kasi puro haka-haka lang para matigil na yung haka-haka at usapin na yan, yung mga rumors na yan, ay ginawa na po nitong manifesto of support. So I think that's very clear and I don't really want to add fuel to the fire anymore. As far as we're concerned, that's all water, rough waters under the bridge. Let's move forward and start working together. Marami pa tayong trabaho. This is the last 2 weeks of work. Meron pa tayong 3 weeks. This week, 2 weeks na lang. So, kailangan talaga mag-double time po kami para may papasa po natin third reading itong mga bills. Yes. Wala naman po matatanggal ng committee. Wala po. There's no reason to. There's no reason.
So, Senator Jinggoy?
Ha?
Senator Jinggoy na sinabi.
Wala. No. There's no revamp for any committees. There's no such thing.
Sir, naniniwala ka na outside Senate, yung pressure dun sa...
Maraming talagang outside pressure from pressure from outside. It may be because of charter change. It may be because of I don't know. I can't speculate. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to make a guess. But that's par for the course. Yan po ay kasama sa trabaho natin. Naalala ko nung majority floor leader ako ni Senate President Soto. Ganun din ang intriga sa kanya. Binubugbog din siya. Ako yung taga-console, pacify dito sa Senate floor. Ngayon ako naman yung nasa hot seat kasi ako naman yung Senate President. So medyo mabigat na trabaho ito. Pero it comes with the territory. It's part of the job. What's important is we don't lose the sight and focus of helping our people get better lives. Yun lang po. Gumandang buhay nila. Hindi naman. I always say, di ba sinasabi ko palagi, I serve at the pleasure of my colleagues. Kung hindi naman po ako effective bilang leader, then I'm ready to step down as long as the numbers show that I'm no longer effective as a leader. Pero yung mga kasama natin, nagulat sila at sabi nila, wala naman masamang ginagawa si Senator Zubiri. As a matter of fact, I'm probably the most amiable Senate President. I'm also the most consensus-building among possibly previous Senate Presidents. Talagang ako, I'd like to get the consensus as well as support of each and every one of my colleagues before we act on a certain issue. I think I've been very transparent and even in these last few days, sabi ko nga, open book ako, pati yung mga institutional amendments sa budget. Sabi ko, labas natin institutional amendments. Like for example, yung tutulong natin sa Coast Guard, sa military, para makita nila na hindi po natin iniisahan ng mga senador. That's the least of my not concerns, but it's for me, what is important is reputation. gusto ko, by the end of the 19th Congress, by the end of my term, sabihin ng ating mga kasamaan na effective at maganda naman ang patakbo ng ating Senate President in this 19th Congress. Of course, the 20th Congress is a different ball game altogether kasi may bagong mga players na papasok. There's 12 new players and of course, there will still be an election of a new Senate President on the 20th Congress. What's important is the 19th Congress. Let us continue soldiering on. Pasa natin yung mga LEDAC measures. Continue the discussions on RBH 6, which is being done now by Senator Angara. And then we'll transition to the 20th Congress. I think that's the most important.
Just for the record, can you explain to us why we have to sign the statement of support?
Oh, hindi naman ako humingi niyan, my dear. Maybe you can ask the core group. Yeah.
Yung signature po nandun.
Kayo mismo.
I was requested by the group to sign na rin para to show kasi kung kasama ako 14 yun eh. Kung hindi ako sumama diyan baka sabihin only 13 ang support ni Senator Zubiri. So total number yan is 14. So there are 14 senators. Yes, it will be 17.
Pero
Yes.
are you aware if there are some of your colleagues who are dissatisfied with your leadership? Kasi may mga nakausap po kaming senador, they were saying na meron talagang attempt to unseat you, to replace you.
I don't want to discuss that anymore. I don't want to dwell in that. I don't want to comment on that. Kasi mukhang in-address naman natin yung mga concerns nila. And I think that's the most important, these concerns. We're actually having several caucuses. Ano pang pagbibigay, ano pang pwede natin ibigay in terms of services sa ating mga senators. And of course, kailangan siguro continuous consultation with the senators. So, wala naman, I don't see any problem and as seen by the manifesto, they're happy naman with my leadership.
Maybe sir, anong concerns yung na-address niya?
I guess maybe dahil nga sa stress natin in the last few months about yung charter change, yung EI, yung People's Initiative, siguro sa stress po natin, hindi po natin sila nakakausap kagad sa mga concerns nila. Dahil nga, medyo at that time, our institution was under threat. But, so sabi ko, we'll be doing more consultations. Every week, we'll be doing caucuses para kung may mga concerns sila, ma-action na natin kaagad.
Budget, sir. Budget concern.
Wala naman tayong nakikita problema sa budget concerns. Yung, alam mo, marami nag-iintriga. I think the external forces ang nag-iintriga dyan. We are very transparent and I asked Senator Angara to be very transparent with the budget para makita lahat ng institutional amendments. Remember, the Senate does a lot of institutional amendments. When I say institutional amendments, hindi po sila humihingi sa House of Representatives. For example, the DOH. Tayo ang ninalapitan nila para mabigyan ng pondo yung specialty hospitals. For example, heart centers of Mindanao, heart centers of Visayas, kidney centers of Visayas, kidney centers of Mindanao. Yung pagtatayo niyan, minsan wala sa NEP yan. Kaya ninalapitan nila yung Senate. So, we cut funds from other areas to be able to put funds there. Also, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, tayo ninapitan nila para mabigyan sila ng mga air defense systems, anti-ship defense systems, yung cyber hacking, anti-cyber hacking, humingi din sila po sa atin 2 billion. Yung Coast Guard, humingi ng 2.4 billion para makapagawa ng 2 barko. Hindi po sa House ang hiningi, sa amin po hiningi. So kung titignan mo, malalaki itong mga adjustments sa budget, but these are all to agencies. Hindi to rock netting, hindi to cat's eye, alam niyo na, hindi to solar powered lights, hindi po to racket, hindi po to pang money making racket. These are all institutional amendments. And siguro, ang sabi ko nga kay Senator Angara, show the members these institutional amendments para ano tayo, we are transparent. di ba? Kasi meron din nagalit sa amin, bakit nakalusot daw yung AKAP, yung sa plebisito ng COMELEC. So we asked Senator Angara to also present that because to show how we can be more transparent. That's why in the next budget call, I would suggest that we are transparent with all the amendments being made. I do not mind presenting it on the floor, my amendments, para at least makita na wala tayong tinatago. Di ba?
Pero sir, considering kasi yung time, di ba, usually parang magpapayagam sila and then papasay na.
Definitely madedelay yun. Kasi kung if you want more transparency, mas delayed yun. But mas maganda naman, pero mas maganda naman for transparency's sake.
Yung panawagan na kasi wala pa umuna. Make sure na maprotektahan daw yung Senate.
Yes. Ako, that is my job description under Article 1 of the Constitution as Senate President. My job description is to protect and uphold the independence of the Senate. And I will continue to do that. Definitely, I will continue to do that. So, we cannot be dictated upon. And if you notice, time and time again, through the annals of history of this great institution, talagang nakita nyo, nangingibabaw po ang Senado pagdating sa mga issues, particularly on the independence of the Senate. Remember that there are 24 republics. Yung sinasabi nila 24 republics dito sa Senado. Ako po, para lang akong Supreme Court Chief Justice, yung tinatawag na primus inter pares, which is I am only one of equals. I'm the first among equals. So, kaya nga, ang style ko is it's very consultative. Kasi I respect each and every individual senator's right and stand on particular issues dito sa Senado. Kaya yung hamon ng ibang tao na I should put the senators in tow, put them in check, keep them in line, hindi po gawain namin dito sa Senado yan. Hindi po gawain natin dito. So, ang importante dito is we practice the one man or one woman, one person, one vote. Wala po tayong block vote dito, wala po tayong utos, hindi po natin pwedeng utusin ang mga senador na parang baka to be herded upon when need be. We respect every individual, every right of every individual senator. Kaya nga minsan natatagalan po yung diskusyon ng mga bills dahil pinapayagan po natin makipagdebate sila sa plenaryo. That is a time-honored tradition in the Senate. And even if it's priority measure, umaapela kami na sana bilisan nila yung pagtanong, hindi naman cut short yung interpellation, pero bilisan po nila pag-schedule. Wag lang yung pwede next month na lang. Yun lang ang pwedeng apela namin sa kanila. But we can't stop them from asking questions and making amendments. If you notice yung RP Vara, nakailang amendments tayo, 1 week. Every day, may bagong amendments. Kaya sabi ko nga kahapon, ang walang kamatayan na amendments ng RP Vara. Kaya, and that's because we are perfecting the measure for the best possible outcome. Kaya,
Yung pagkakulang talaga sa pag-uusap, sa consultation, dahil sa pagka-busy sa chat at issues of the life. So,
Yes.
yung recent na pag-uusap nyo with the senators, with your colleagues, ano yung lumabas na mga issues o mga problema nila, sir?
well, one of them is also charter change. A number of congressmen are, a number of senators are concerned about the process. For example, Senator Cheese is still very adamant about the lack of rules that we have. So nag-file na po si Senator Tolentino about the rules on procedure pagdating po sa discussions of charter change in plenary and in the committee level. So nasa committee on rules na yan kay Senator Joel, action na po ni Senator Joel yan. Oh, they have a meeting pala at 1 o'clock, so perfect. And hopefully we'll be able to approve those rules. Also kasi may mga tanong sila na paano natin iti-take up ba natin yan alas 3 ng hapon kasama ng business of the day or agenda of the day, or do we hear it earlier like the House of Representatives under the Committee of the Whole and tackle it on a different hour once we have the committee report from Senator Angara. Kasi magkakaroon ng committee report yan, parang batas yan, tapos pagdidebatihan pa yan. So this time our resource persons are no longer the officials of the schools, mga legal luminaries. This time, Senator Angara will have to debate with the members who are asking the very important questions on the amendments to the Constitution. So, wala pa tayong rules niyan. And this is just an example on the discussions that have been on the table, which we still have to resolve. At kasama na po yan sa mga, siguro, mga gripes ng ating mga kasamahan. So, we're working on that now.
SP, sabi po ni Sen. JP kahapon, House initiated yung move to unseat you. Do you think ganun nga?
I no longer want to comment. Alam mo naman, I respect the opinions of my distinguished colleagues, but I no longer want to fan the fire on the House and Senate tension, because as of now we had a meeting, with a bicameral meeting. We were all in handshakes and all smiles that we should move forward for the benefit of the country. So I don't want to add any fuel to that fire.
Sir, ayun na ba yung signal na okay na kayo? Kasi ngayon
Marami naman sa CA. Mag-umpisa na po tayo ng mga bicameral conference committees, and we've already committed to the House that we're working on their local bills. So wala naman problema. I think we'll go back to I'd say what it was pre-PI, the pre-pandemic, pre-PI.
Just to set the record straight. Kasi,
Apo.
sabi niyo core group yung nagpaikot ng statement of support. Pero ang sabi kasi ni Senator Zubiri, paano daw kayo ikukutin na? Kayo daw mismo ang nagpapaikot sa statement of support para ipapirma sa kanila.
Hindi po ako core group namin po napapapirma. I'd like to correct the statement of Senator St. Villar. Nasa Cagayan de Oro po ako. This weekend, I was in Cagayan de Oro. So, I was in Bukidnon. You can check my Facebook page. I was in the Division Schools meet in Kibawe, Bukidnon. So, I was there.
Kailan mo din start SP yung pagpapaikot ng core group?
Over the weekend, I believe.
Sir,
Sir, pero okay naman kayo kay Senator Cynthia.
Okay. Wala naman kami problema. Okay. Nakasama ko siya. Nasa Bicam kanina.
Sir, magiging malaking challenge daw sa leadership nyo. Paano makakamaster ng numero para suportahan yung RBH 6, considering na meron na nagsasabi na 7 na daw sila na magtulong sa challenge.
It's a challenge.
So it is a big challenge.
It's a big challenge. Kasi I think yung away ng mga kaibigan natin sa House, dito sa mga kaibigan natin sa Senado, isang factor din po yan. Kasi nagkakaroon nga ng trust issues. Nabanggit ko kay Presidente yan, Mr. President, when the time comes, hingi din tayo ng tulong sa inyo na will convince the members kasi hindi lahat sold out. So, but I'm not saying it's impossible. There's in the reign of possibilities, we could still get 3/4 vote, 18 signatures or 18 votes. But at this point in time, it's a challenge. So we will work on the challenge one step at a time. But the commitment was, pag-usapan po ito, pagdebatihan, para malaman ng taong bayan ano talaga mga issues na to pagdating sa RBH 6. So, we're complying with their commitment na pagdebatihan po yan sa committee level and discussions with the stakeholders. So, pagdating po ng panahon na sa botohan na, ibang usapan po yan. Then we will have to make our case to our colleagues na this is necessary.
Sir, sabi kasi,
Si Ma'am muna kasi nauna pong taas sa kami.
sabi ni Senator Cynthia, ang inaano kasi once na open, baka hindi na mapigilan pati yung political.
Yun nga kaya importante na maayos natin yung rules tungkol dyan. Kasi one of the complaints, of course, yung mga, I'd say, concerns, not complaints rather, I'd rather use the word. One of the concerns, kaya siguro nagkaroon itong mga haka-haka, was because of the charter change nga. Marami nga dito sa amin, not marami, quite a few, are, kasi pag sinabing marami, parang overwhelming. Kasi there's still a majority that in the Senate, I think, that believe that the economic provisions should be amended. A majority, but there's not enough for 3/4. Now, those concerns of some, okay, are because nga, it might be a trap. Diba? It might be a trap for voting as one. So that concerns have to be addressed, and we're doing that with our rules. And definitely may konting trust issues. That's why we're appealing to our colleagues in the House of Representatives. Let's slow down on the rhetoric against each other kasi it's unnecessary noise. Hindi naman po kailangan yan. Let's slow down the rhetoric against each other. I think we should work together for the common good of the country rather than burning bridges. And if you notice kami dito sa Senado, medyo na po kami, back to regular programming, nagtatrabaho na po lahat kami dito. Pati yung mga black prop na nakikita nyo sa social media pages, dapat sana matigil na kung sinong-sinong gumagawa niyan. Kasi it just fuels the fire, and because of that, there will come a time that there are certain trust issues that we have to face. And yan ang napakahirap. Baka nasunog na yung tulay, mahirap na. Thank you.
As of po ng RBHs, nag-start na po ba kayo, sir, mag-head count kung sino yung mga possible na bumoto ng yes or
I would just say there's still a majority of senators that are okay with the economic provisions. There's just that question or that concern that it might trigger a voting as one issue or a justiciable issue. So we're trying to, yan ang inaayos natin na yun para masagot. Pero again, as I said, as I answered at Tiseli, it's a challenge. Challenge po sa liderato yan. So it doesn't help na nag-aaway yung dalawang kongreso. Kasi gusto po natin, medyo may konting katahimikan, konting tuloy natin yung ceasefire para sa ganun, we can start our work as members of Congress. Like the BICAM. Ganda-ganda po ng BICAM kanina, and then I believe we'll have several other BICAMs this week. So that's a good start. CA po tayo na yun. So I'll be seeing 12 other congressmen here this afternoon.
Sabi ni Senator Coco, galingan daw yung pagdidepensa sa RBH 6 para makumbinse yung mga
Yes. Ganun yun. That's the idea. Yan po yung idea dyan. Sinabi ko, di ba, we practice one man, one vote here. Or one person, one vote. So, hindi porket inutos ko sa kanila, gagawin nila. Alam mo, pag inutusan ko silang gawin yan, mawawala talaga ako, Senate President. Maniwala kayo sa akin. I will no longer have the trust and confidence of more than 14 senators if I force them to vote on the affirmative. Again, I said, I'm only like primos inter pares, I'm just the first of equals, and we will respect them on their vote. So, ang gusto lang po nila, transparent, gusto po nila fair na ating mga kasamahan, and then when time comes, then we will see how, if we convince them about the economic provisions of RBH 6.
Ano ba pagdating ng botohan, hihingi po kayo ng tulong kay Miguel to convince?
No, but I mentioned to him. I didn't ask him. I just mentioned to him that there may be a problem, and so we're still trying to convince other people. Let me correct that statement earlier. No, I didn't ask his help because this is a totally amendments to the Constitution. And let me correct that what I said earlier. Amendments to the Constitution is solely the prerogative of Congress as well as people's initiative. Kung done properly, if there's an enabling law, it can be done and done properly. That's the only modes that can be, and CONCON of course, that can be utilized to amend the Constitution. So, ang bangit ko na kay Presidente, it may be challenging kasi nga may mga kasamaan po tayo na ayaw talaga nila ng charter change. So, ayun lang po. Wala po tayong hinihing tulong sa kanya because it's more an independent issue by Congress and the Senate.
Sabi niyo, supportado naman kayo ni Senator Sylvia Villar and Senator Aiden. Pero ba't
Yes.
wala pong signature?
I'll have to ask the core group about that. Nilapitan naman namin po sila. I think there's another meeting kasi yung kay Senator Cynthia, concerned talaga niya charter change. In fairness, lumabas naman siya officially. That is, she's against charter change, right? So, I think her issue with our leadership nga is tinutulak natin tong RBH 6. So, until we resolve that issue on the process, until I resolve the issue on, for example, yung rules, na lack of rules guiding us, no, on the process, I I think I'll have to wait for her, I wouldn't want to go short guess, but parang I have to answer these issues first. Kailangan ko muna ayusin itong mga issues para safe to say na hindi tayo inuutusan ng outside forces. Yan ang napakalaga sa kanya. And as I've said, no, I'd rather lose my Senate presidency than be party of weakening this institution. I will never allow the weakening of this institution, the Senate of the Republic of the Philippines. I would step down myself if that would happen. Hindi po tayo papayag. And as I said, my job description is to uphold and protect the independence of the Senate under Article 1 of our Constitution. Kaya pangako ko po sa aking mga kasamahan, minsan tumataas na yung high blood natin, nagkakasakit na tayo. Galing po sa doktor, passing colors lahat ng blood works ko. Dahil nga dito sa issue na to, whatever the opponents of the Senate are doing, it's working because it's bringing all our stress levels to higher heights, but we will not stop. With our conviction to remain independent, to remain as one of the last bastions of democracy in our country. We will sacrifice ourselves to keep this institution, of course, as a last bastion of democracy and independent at all times. Yes, ma'am. Opo.
We know that you signed the subpoena for Pastor Miguel, and yesterday Senator Migz cited it in contempt, pero it was objected by Senator Robin. Sir, how are you looking at all these given the public
Well, I have to wait because according to Senator Robin, kinausap po siya na makakakuha daw siya ng majority of the committee members to overrule the order of the chairperson. So I don't want to comment at this point in time. I shall wait for that. He has 7 days. He has 7 days it's a committee matter, so I'll respect the committee on this. I don't want to make any more statements because he's given 7 days to show that there's no support for the motion of the chairperson. Right now, it's a committee matter. It's a committee issue. I will no longer. I cannot preempt the decision of the committee.
Just a clarification, Senator Padilla told that he can raise the 8 signatures.
Yeah, nag-usap kami kahapon. Sabi niya, you will try to raise the signatures. Meron daw siyang 7 days. So, let's respect that. Let's respect that.
SP, the other day, meron naman late incident na binangga ng Chinese Coast Guard yung barko ng
Oo nga eh.
Coast Guard.
Walang tigil na pong, wala nang tigil. Sasabihin ko ulit, China, ba't napakahirap kayong mahalin? Di ba? Kaliit-liit na barko ng ating Coast Guard na nagbibigay po ng resupply mission, dalawa-dalawa po ang ginamit niyong water cannon laban sa ating mga membro ng Coast Guard at ng mga fisher folk. We're at one, okay, how do you say this? We totally, strongly condemn what transpired yesterday sa pag-water cannon dito sa ating mga tropa na naghahatid lang po, no? Naghahatid lang po ng supplies sa BRP Sierra Madre. Ang paggamit ng excessive force is against UNCLOS and the rule of law of the sea. Binangga pa yung isang Coast Guard boat natin at kumuntik pang mapahamak ang lahat ng nakasakay dito sa Coast Guard vessels na to, Coast Guard vessel na ito. We demand that the Chinese government stop all these violent activities, all these provocative activities in the Yungin Shoal and the West Philippine Sea. They're intensifying and creating the atmosphere of fear and violence in the West Philippine Sea, which we are trying to de-escalate. We need to de-escalate it and take it one step down at this point in time. isang aksidente lamang at kung nagkaroon po tayo ng aksidente na lumubog ang isa natin mga barko, I don't know, only God will know what would happen. So, I appeal to the Chinese Navy to stop their provocative actions in the West Philippine Sea. Kasi ayaw po natin ng gulo. We don't want a conflict with China. That is the last thing that we want to happen. But we are not going to allow 1 square inch of our territory to be taken away from us. So we're appealing to China to work out some sort of conduct, code of conduct, di ba? Kung hindi naman warship ang dumadaan dyan, hindi naman swarming ang dumadaan dyan ng mga barko, ilang supply ships lamang, ilang barko ng ating mga mangingisda, wag na po ninyong iharas under the code of conduct. Because like any other areas with international waters, every ship is respected. Every ship is protected by law. So, dapat ganun din ang gawin nila dito. This is not their backyard where they can just do whatever they want and bully whoever they want. So again, I'm appealing to the Chinese Coast Guard as well as the Chinese government to stop all these provocative actions that they're doing and violence that they're inflicting to our Filipino ships. Tigilan na po nila yan dahil alam nyo, God forbid kung ano pang mangyari after that. And we don't want the Philippines to be a flashpoint in this particular area, this particular time. So, yun lamang po. Kinokondena po natin and I hope that they stop these provocative actions.
President, ano po yung posisyon nyo dun sa inilabas ng PNP na payagan ng mga civilian na mag-iwan?
Wala naman, kasi I'll be a hypocrite kung sasabihin ko ayoko dahil meron din po akong long arm. So, as a gun owner, I believe in responsible gun ownership. Nakita naman po natin yung mga datos na ang nagkakaroon po ng krimen, halos 98% ng krimen ay galing sa illegal firearms at sa mga sindikato at kriminal. So kung kayo po, for example, empleyado ka ng Senado, let's say Dave Torres here, is a responsible member of the Senate, meron po siyang LTAP, may LTAP ka, Dave?
Wala pa, sir.
Wala pa, okay. Kung mag-a-apply siya ng LTAP, dadaan po ng masinsinan po na proseso yan. Kukuhanan po siya ng neuro. Sana pumasa ka sa neuro, Dave. Kukuha ng neuro test yan, tsaka drug test, at kung ano pa. And then that's the only time that he can buy a firearm. Whether it's a long firearm, a shotgun, or a long rifle, they're subjected to these rules. And again, babalikan ko po yung datos. 98%, 98% po ay ng krimen na nangyayari with firearms are illegal firearms and mga sindikato or illegal or mga criminal. So only 2% are actual licensed firearms. Kaya siguro sinabi ng PNP, whether it is a short gun or a long arm, as long as you're a responsible gun owner, you are, of course, not going to use it for criminal activities. Dapat lang, pagsikapin nila ang pagbusisi ng pagbibigay po ng mga lisensya at pagbebenta ng mga baril sa kanila. Kasi we still have an insurgency, we still have internal security threats. Dapat hindi po mahulog po, maibigay po itong mga armas na ito sa mga internal security threats and rebel forces.
Pero hindi kaya magkaroon lalo ng problema kasi kanina may binabanggit si Senator Tolentino yung mga incidents ng road rage before, yung mga na-involved doon, licensed gun owner.
Yeah, but whether it's road rage, they'll still use their small firearm or their long firearm. Either way, mahuhuli din sila eh. Other way, because my point is, they're licensed to carry a firearm. So the road rage incident, kaya gumawa po tayo ng batas na lalong mas tinataas po natin ang parusa sa road rage. Hindi lamang slight physical injury, lalo na kung may baril, homicide na kaagad eh. Pag linabas nyo yung baril nyo, road rage, walang kalaban-laban yung tao, ikukulong kayo for homicide. homicide or attempted murder. Lalo na pag nakikita na may aggravated assault, pumunta sa kotse, kinuha yung baril, that's already murder. Why? Because may clear knowledge siya na babalikan ko yung baril, kukunin ko yung baril, babarilin ko siya. That's already attempted murder, or pag pinatay niya, that's already murder. Pag linabas niya yung baril kaagad at hinahamon-hamon niya, you'll already be tried for attempted homicide. Because it's the heat of the passion, it's the heat of the passion of the instance. But kaya, yung sa road rage incident, kung talagang may psychological problem yung mama at gagalit siya, ilalabas din niya yung baril niya, whether it's a long arm or a side arm. So what is important is the indictment, the penalty na hatulan sa kanya.
Is there a need to review yung IRR before the PNP allows civilians?
Well, I leave it to the PNP for their better judgment kasi may mga datos naman sila pagdating sa criminality.
Ang fear din na isang nire-raise ni Senator Paul and even Senator Ivy was yung likelihood na magaya tayo sa US, especially given the fact na hindi naman lahat ng police natin ay capable of preventing an individual to produce.
I think malayo pa tayo sa Amerika. Iba yung sa Amerika, yung mass shooting incidences nila dun. It's more psychological in nature. Dito sa atin, ang only concern ko siguro kung maibili yan at magamit ng mga rebelde, di ba? Other than that, wala po ako nakikita ng mga tao na pupunta sa eskwelahan, biglang mag-open fire ng mga long rifles. Again, I think that the most important part there is the selection of those who will be capable of owning these firearms. Yan ang pinaka-importante dyan. Huwag po i-shortcut yung neuro test, huwag po i-shortcut yung drug test. Under the law, pag may kasi, napakahigpit ng law eh. For example, naalala mo yung mama na sa road rage incident na yung kamukha ni Senator Bato, Gonzales. Binunot niya yung baril niya. The PNP already issued confiscation of all his firearms. So, under the law, napakahigpit. Gumawa ka ng krimen, whatever it may be, even libel, even slander, even slight physical injury, pag may kaso ka, automatic confiscation ng lahat ng baril mo. Sa Amerika kasi iba eh. It's the right to bear arms. They're under Article 2 yata. Ano yung tinatawag dyan? Yung Second Amendment. Second Amendment. So, no matter what, hindi mo pwedeng kunin yung mga baril even if they have past criminal records. Hindi mo pwedeng kunin yung mga baril nila. Tayo dito, magkamali ka, minsan lang, isa lang. Kinukuha na ng police po yung lahat ng mga baril nyo. It's confiscated. It's not a right, it's a privilege. So, maybe, to add to that, to end, siguro kasi alam ko, Senator Amy Peta magsasalita. Ang suggestion ko, if you want to sell them high-powered firearms na long arms, let them be reservists of the armed forces. Ako, willing, kasi ako magre-service na rin ako eh. I'll be taking my oath in the Army as Lieutenant Colonel. I will invite you all to the oath-taking in Camp Aguinaldo for that. But prior to that, also in April, I'm inviting you all to Pag-asa Island because one of the amendments of the Senate, naglagay po tayo ng amendments of the Senate, yung sa barracks. So mag-groundbreaking na po tayo sa barracks at yung health facilities ng malaking rural health center ng Pag-asa Island. So we'll be inviting you guys when the weather is much better. First week of April after Holy Week. Invite ko kayo, punta tayo. I'll arrange a plane for all of you.
So, dadali sa CA, sir.
Yung pag-take oath ko kasi hindi pa kailangan ng CA. Pag nagpa-promote po ako, dadaan ako ng CA. Makikita niyo ako naka-uniform. So, yeah, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless, guys. God bless.
Sir, sa ano daw?
Stress ako.
Sir, sa ano daw dapat
Kasi alam mo, I'll tell you,